Good morning, everybody. This is Bradley with Lead Gadget, and this is training webinar number 7. Looks like we got some questions already. So there's a couple things that I want to cover based on a Facebook post where people were asking about domain extensions. So I kind of got a short presentation put together for this morning, and then we'll get into questions. Anybody that has any questions, please post them on the events page. A couple other things I want to mention, guys. Number one, add Lead Gadget to your Google Plus circles. That'll help with notifications of these events. Number one. Number two, if you're attending any of these events, the training webinars, make sure you RSVP, because that way I can add anybody that RSVPs by clicking, that you did attend or that you are attending. I can add them to you guys to a circle, which will make it easier for me to notify you guys of upcoming training events. If you don't RSVP, then I can't add you to a circle and you won't get notifications from us. Okay, so please make sure that you, first of all, add Lead Gadget to your circles. Put it in the following tab. Okay, because you can create different circles, but if you put us in following, then every time we have a notification via Google Plus, you'll receive it. Okay. Also, like I said, make sure that you RSVP on the events page anytime that you attend, or even if you think you might attend, click on the maybe going to an event or going to the event, because that way I can still add you. If you don't click either of those, then I won't be able to add you to to a circle where I can send out notifications. Okay. So with that said, let's see who is here currently. Looks like we have a few questions from Ganty. Ganty, you always participate. I appreciate that. It's good to have the interaction. So I will get to some of your questions here shortly. Okay, let me go through this presentation first, and I promise I'll get to some of your questions. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen. By the way, just let me know if you guys can see everything okay. I'm assuming everything's all right this morning. But if you don't, if there's a problem with the video or something like that, please let me know. Just drop a message on the events page. I'll come back and check in a few minutes. And if I see there's an issue, we'll resolve it. Okay. That said, let me go ahead and grab the screen for the Google Slides. Okay. And you guys should be seeing my screen now. I'm used to having a producer, somebody to help me with these webinars, and for Lead Gadget, I'm flying solo most of the time, so I'm trying to do everything all at once. All right, so this is training webinar week 7. Like I said, what I wanted to talk about today was a case study that I wanted to set up based on a post in the Facebook group where somebody was asking about different types of domain extensions and which ones were good besides just the top level domains, which obviously are .com, .net, and .org. And so I decided to put together a case study. It was kind of perfect timing because I have a batch of sites, well, several batches of sites that I need to build for a CPA agreement offer that I'm working on with a partner. And so I needed to build a bunch of sites anyway. So this was a good excuse to put together a case study and build out those sites at the same time. Now, I'm not going to reveal that niche, guys. I can't, because I've got an agreement with somebody on that. So I can't reveal that niche, but I can still put together a case study and share the data, okay, without revealing the niche. So don't ask me, because I won't tell you. All right. I share a ton of my sites with you guys for training purposes and stuff, but this is one niche that I'm not going to be able to share with you, but I can still share the case study and the results. Okay. So what we're going to cover is the criteria and the setup, the domain extensions that I selected, and then the monitoring of the results, what the plan is going to be for monitoring these results. Okay, so we'll start off with the criteria and the setup. And let me just 1 second, guys. I want to jump back and make sure that you guys are seeing everything. I'm not seeing whether you're seeing whether you can or can't see it. Nobody's mentioned. So I guess if nobody said you can't see anything, then I guess we're good. So I'm going to carry on. Okay. So the criteria and setup, multiple domain extensions. I selected 8 of them. I'll share those with you in a moment. The sites are built on a subdomain of each domain. Guys, I've mentioned this in the training before. I always build on subdomains. I do not build on the root domain. If I do put something on the root domain, it's just basically a placeholder, like an HTML page or just a WordPress site with essentially one page, because I always build on subdomains. And before I've had the question asked as to why I do that, and so I'll answer that once again right now so there's no confusion. I always build on subdomains because subdomains are treated as independent entities by Google. And if you build a site on a root domain, okay, and you catch a penalty for whatever reason, if Google decides to slap you because they just don't like you one day all of a sudden, then it will effectively you burn the domain plus all of its subdomain, all of its pages, all of its posts, and all of its anything that's in any subdirectories as well. So by putting a site on a root domain, you put all of your eggs in one basket. In other words, your exposure is very high. But if you build on subdomains and a subdomain catches a penalty, you can delete or abandon that subdomain, and all of your other subdomains in your root domain will not be affected. So I always, always, always build on subdomains so that I can limit my exposure, limit my risk. Okay, so that's why. So before I get a bunch of questions as to why, that's why. Okay, I always build on subdomains to limit my risk. Okay, these are US based sites. I'm in the US. The CPA offer that I'm working on is US based. So all the sites that I've built are for US, are targeting in the United States. I'm targeting a sub niche, so it's not real broad. It's kind of a narrow niche within a niche. So it's a sub niche, which those tend, from my limited experience with Lead Gadget and ATM sites, that those tend to do very well. Okay. The article that I'm using, the content, is a 1,500 word article. It was spun. It wasn't super spun or anything like that. It was just a 1,500 word spun article. I had the first and the last paragraphs super spun. Okay, so the first and the last paragraph are super spun, but the rest of the article is just standard one level deep spin. Okay, I put 5 images per post. Out of a total of 200 available images, I scraped 200 images, optimized them by file name, keyword file name, uploaded to S3, extracted the S3 URLs, spun them together, and created a short code out of it. Okay, and so I'm using the short code to randomly insert images, but there's 5 of them on each page, and out of there's 200 images to select from. 1 YouTube video per post. From that, I scraped. I showed you guys the tool that I use, YSpy it's called, and I scraped 500 images. Let me just check. Ganty says good morning. Okay, I guess you guys are seeing me then. YouTube video, I had using the YSpy tool. I was able to scrape 500 videos around that topic, and I spun those URLs together and I stuck them in the content, and then added with the short code with the Viper's video tag short code, guys. That's in the training. I've already put that in the training in a couple different locations, but essentially it's just the YouTube URL is inserted in the content, and then after the site is built, you go add the Viper's video quick tags plugin and activate it, and then the YouTube URL will turn into the video embed. Okay, it'll do that automatically. Let's see, I see Andrea's dropping a question, so let's see what it is. Andrea's asking about a subdomain real quick. Did you previously say that a www acts like a subdomain? It does, Andrea. It does. So like if you have a site on it, like guys, don't do this if you already have a site built, because it can cause problems. Like if you have a site built on just a root domain without www, then I would just leave it. But if you want to build on a root domain, and I'm not sure why you'd want to, but if you wanted to build directly on the root domain, then add the www, which you can do in WordPress settings. In settings general, you can set the site address. You can put www in there, and essentially it's called a canonical, and you'll set the canonical to www.rootdomain.com. and then click save, and then it'll ask you to sign in again. And from that point forward, the site will resolve to the www version, even if your site files are hosted on the root domain, right? You can still set it to the resolve to www, and that is considered a subdomain. So you don't have to go in the cPanel and create a www.subdomain and install your WordPress files into there. You don't have to do that. You can install it on your root and just set the canonical to www. And then from that point forward, it'll be considered a subdomain, which is good, because if that were to catch a penalty, you could abandon that www and go back to the root, or use another subdomain such as blog or news or whatever you want to call a subdomain. Okay. And you don't burn your entire domain that way, is my point. So Andrea, you were correct about that. Okay, so also 2 related content links per post. Again, you guys know that what I've been doing is I've been selecting related content. You guys, some people might want to call it authority content. I could care less whether it's authority content or not. What I care about is that it's related. Relevancy is so much more important to me. Wikipedia links and .gov links have been done to death. I have found better results with just linking to content that is highly relevant to what I'm linking from. Okay, I just don't use the keywords that I want to rank for to link out to the related content. So what I've been doing for these sites is I've been tying my related content links to the images on the page. Okay, so in this case, I've got 5 images per post, and I've used 2 related content links per post, where essentially I've just selected 2 of the images and have them link out to related content using no follow links. Okay, because I'm not trying to leak any page rank or any juice over to those related content sites. I'm just trying to solidify what the content is on my page by linking to related content. Okay, and out of that, I scraped 200 available or 200 related content links and created a short code out of that. So essentially, these were my 3 short codes here, guys. I'm not talking about custom lists. I'm talking about short codes. So I created again. I scraped 200 URL images, resized them, keyword optimized the file names, uploaded them to S3, then scraped or extracted the S3 URLs, spun them together, stuck them into a short code, and created my images short code. Okay, and then for the YouTube URLs, I scraped 500 videos. Well, there was like 700, but I eliminated about 200 of them. So I ended up with about 500 YouTube videos. I spun the URLs together. It's just the standard YouTube URLs. And then I created a short code for that. So those are the video short codes, or the video short code, I should say. There's 2 related content links per post, and I essentially scraped 200 related content or blog URLs and spun those together, and then created a short code for that. So my code, my HTML code on the page is very simple, because it's just the image code with the short codes in there for like alt text and everything. You know, alt text, I used my keywords, so I created an alt text short code as well. But it makes it nice. And then I put, you know, like I've done in the past, guys, with some of the training videos. Again, you can go back and review this. I'm not going to get into this here, but I've also spun or randomized the attributes within the HTML code for the images. So like the border width, for example, whether the image floats left or floats right, which is known as alignment. I've spun all of that so that everything is really random as far as how it's posted on the page. Okay. And then I did 12 tags per post. Okay. And I think I had about 400 keywords that I used, and I split it up into 12 groups of whatever that turned out to be, like, you know, 35 or whatever tags per post, or tags per group, keywords per group, I should say. And it selects one of those out of each group to make a total of 12 tags per post. Okay. Let's see. Look, Ganti says, I thought that most of the time results in duplicate content because one with www and the other without. Okay, by putting canonical, you're avoiding it. Okay, yes, Ganti, that is correct. By setting up a canonical, you avoid that. That's the same thing that goes with tags. I can't get into that because I'll confuse a bunch of people. But yeah, so yes, but Ganti, you've got it right. You got it right. Okay. Let's see. Criteria and setup, guys. What happened after this is the second part of that. Okay, so you guys see what the content was like. Then after the site was built, or after the sites were deployed, I submitted the site maps to Google Webmaster Tools. I told you guys that's how I do it. Some of you guys do not like to add anything to Google. That's fine. Do whatever it is that you do. I'm just telling you how I'm doing my case study. Okay, so I submitted this site maps to Google Webmaster Tools. I also pinged the site maps with the sitemap pinger that somebody shared with me the other day. I set the country targeting to United States, and here I can show you guys what I'm talking about with that in a minute. I'll go back to full screen share, and I'll show that to you in a minute. But I set country targeting to United States in Google Webmaster Tools, which I found to help, except for the .in domain, and I'll show you the domain extensions I selected in a moment. But .in is already set to India by default, which leads me to believe that that's not going to index well in the US. The reason I say that is because I had purchased a couple of .pw domains, which I can't remember the name of the country that is assigned to. but I had built a couple of sites out on the .pw domain, and I could not get them to index because the country targeting was already set to whatever that country was, and I couldn't get them to index in the US. I had very difficult time with indexing on that site, so I ended up just bombing them and abandoning those sites. So out of all the 8 domains that I selected, there was only one that I could not set country targeting on, and that was .in, which is India by default. So I'm assuming that it's probably not going to perform well, but we shall see as the case study progresses. Okay. I also enabled the Backlinks indexer plugin, and I connected all of the sites to analytics. I used a total of 4 analytics. In total, I should have edited that to say 4 Google accounts, 2 sites per account. So I did not put all of my sites in the one Google account. I split it up across 4 Google accounts. Okay. So it's 2 sites per account. Okay. I'll show you the Google Webmaster Tools, how you can set country targeting in a moment, guys, in case you're unaware of how to do that. The domain extensions that I selected were .website, .info, .biz, .us, .co, .org, .net, and .in. And I put the asterisk in front of .in because that's the only one that, again, it was set to India by default. Okay, so I'm assuming that's not going to perform that well in the US. Everything else, I did not put a .com in here because I was unable to get the domain, by the way, guys, is the same domain. The root of the domain is the same for all of these. Okay, so the only thing that is different is the extension, and the subdomain that I built each of these sites on is the same. So everything is identical except for the extension. And then, like I said, the content, because it was spun, obviously the content's going to be varied on every single site build. But I targeted pretty much the same sub niche. I used variations of the main, the keyword that I was targeting for the sub niche. I used variations of that as the content title, which is the SEO title, which is the most, that's what you should, whenever you're optimizing your site, your content title should be the main keyword that you're trying to rank for. So I use multiple variations of that for each site build. Okay. And so these are the domain extensions. Now, for the results, the way that I'm going to monitor this case study is I'm going to check indexing once per week for the next 4 weeks and report back to you guys during these webinars what the indexing rates are, how well they're coming along. Again, I'm assuming that the .in is not going to index that well, but we'll find out. Screenshots of Google Webmaster Tools every week. I'll show you guys that so that you can see impressions and clicks, because that's how I monitor the health of a site, is using Google Webmaster Tools and monitoring impressions and clicks, and then screenshots of traffic stats through analytics, so that we can see what the traffic looks like as well. And then I'll do kind of a more comprehensive report at week 4, week 8, and week 12. Okay, so over the next 3 months, I'm going to really continue to report back on this case study to see which ones do better. Because all things being equal, pretty much everything is equal. The only thing different is going to be the domain extensions. Okay, so I'm going to try to make sure that we keep a real, close eye on which ones are which, because I'm anxious to know too if any particular domains perform better than others, and then trying to figure out why. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let me go back and show you guys in Webmaster Tools. This is just one of I don't even know which site this is, but guys, underneath, if you're connected to Google Webmaster Tools, and in my opinion you should be, but that's debatable, but go under search traffic over here, click on international targeting, and then from here you click on country, and then you can select that checkbox, and then you can drop it down and select your country. Okay, and obviously in my case it would be United States, and you click save. Okay, that's how you set international targeting by country. So again, a .in domain, it will not, or like for example, a .us domain, it will not allow you to select, because it's going to say targeting already set, and that's because it's a country-specific domain extension. .us, right? Well, .in was a country-specific domain extension for India. Oh God, by the way, you guys aren't seeing my screen, I bet. My bad. Let me go back and I'll show you how to do that again. That was my fault. Okay, let me jump back over to Webmaster Tools. We'll run through this again. Inside of Webmaster Tools, if you have your website connected, you want to come over here to where it says search traffic, click on the drop down, and then click on international targeting. Then on international targeting, you click on country, and here you can select the checkbox right here, and then select your country, and then click save. And it's going to say that you have now set international or your country targeting. Okay. Again, if it's a country specific domain extension, it's going to already be set and it will not allow you the option to change that. Okay. But for the top level domains, you can. And for many of them, again, if we go back to this, I was able to set US, United States, for all of these except for .in. Okay. All right. So you guys now know what the case study is. I will show you the results as I move forward with it. Let me go back to the, yes. Yeah, Bill, I caught you. Thank you. Let me go back and answer some of these questions now. And guys, if you have any questions, please post them. Because I'm actually, if we don't have a lot of questions today, we might wrap up a little bit early. I've got another webinar I've got to be on immediately following this one. So, you know, if you have questions, please ask them. Otherwise, we'll wrap them up in just a few minutes. Ganty says, looking forward to your Thursday webinar and the tutorial on how to use the crowd search me. And if possible, please include how to use Backlinks Indexer. Thank you very much for all the webinars. Okay. In fact, I did a webinar yesterday on crowdsearch.me. And you guys are more than welcome. I invited everybody. Let's see, I'll read that in a minute. I invited everybody to that in the Facebook group, and this may be it. Let's see if Ganty, if this is it. It is. This is it. So, guys, the link right here that's shared on in here. In fact, if you guys want, well, yeah, I was going to say, if you want, you can just click on the link right here on the events page, and you guys can watch the webinar that I did yesterday on crowdsearch.me, and it'll explain exactly how I use it for, you know, for most things. Now, the ATM sites obviously are a bit different. So, you know, once I was asked by Brian to not go into it just yet until it's available through Lead Gadget or in the ATM, and then we'll do another additional training on how to use it specifically for ATM sites. So we will get into that. If you guys want to get an overview of how it works and how I've been using it with great success, then please watch this webinar from yesterday that I did. You're more than welcome to watch that. It's available. It was an hour long, and I went into extensive details to how I use it for like videos and for normal websites, ATM sites. The strategy or technique will be slightly different, but we will get into that when I get the green light from Brian to do so. Okay. Let's see. Include how to use Backlinks Indexer. Well, with Backlinks Indexer, there's really nothing to do other than just add. You either turn the plugin on or you turn it off, and that's per Brian and Don's instructions. They've got it set up to where it's set on a drip rate with Dan Anton's service, Backlinks Indexer, that we have no control over. It's just a matter of it's either on or it's off. I obviously turned it on. There are some other things that I do with some of my sites for indexing at where I have a little bit more control over drip rate and stuff like that. But I haven't really got the okay to share that with you guys yet, so I can't really share that just yet. But if I do, I'll let you know. But essentially, all you need to do is just turn it on, okay? And that's it. Looks like both Backlinks Indexer and crowdsearch.me works better if you already have some rankings and backlinks. With the ATM sites being on-page optimization directory sites, how do you apply the BLI and CS.me to our ATM sites that are freshly cooked in Don's ATM oven? Freshly cooked in Don's ATM oven. Well, to be honest with you, I would wait until the site's indexed at least. And then once it's indexed, you could put in, search terms for. And guys, a little context here. If you watch the webinar from yesterday, you'll understand this question more. If you missed that, then this question might be a little vague to you. But just go back, go watch the webinar that I just pointed out from yesterday if you want more context. And then this question will make more sense, or this answer will make more sense to you. Ganty apparently did. So, Ganty, if you once the site is indexed, if you put the search terms in that are specific to your site, like for example, like the titles, with the geographic modifier, or if you have a brand name for your blog, which I try to do that for all of my sites, then you can put your search phrase in plus the brand name all in the search field or the search query, and chances are your site's going to come up. Something else you could do, Ganty, is you could do a search for the keyword phrase plus the domain name. So for example, I can't open up Firefox because I got a ton of other stuff I'm working on, but for example, let's say Well, you guys know my SEO webinar or my SEO sites that I've built for lead gadget stuff for driving leads into my coaching business, right? So let's just say SEO webinar, and I'll say Culpeper, Virginia. That's where I live. Okay. Now you'll see that I've got several sites here ranked, but the one that let's just say, for example, the one that I wanted to rank was this. Let's say this one, tutorials.seonation.net. Okay, so essentially, if I wanted to, I could say SEO webinar Culpeper VA, and then do SEO Nation, which is the domain, right? .net, and click search, and you'll see that the first thing that comes up is that URL there, Ganti. Does that make sense? So essentially what you could do is you could put in your search phrase, whatever the search phrases are that you want to rank for, or that you, and then put your domain in the search as well. Okay, and the root is fine at this point. I mean, if you want to, if you're on subdomains and you want to get that specific, you can, but as long as you just add in like a modifier such as this, so that it's going to come up first, and then crowd search will click through, and that way it'll increase your your click-through rate, which will give your site more weight. It's called site weight, and guys, I talk about this in the webinar from yesterday. Part of Google's Panda algorithm is what they call site weight. They assign your site a weight and it's basically a measure of authority, and you can increase site weight by click-throughs, okay, and also by association up here by searching for brand terms, or what's called navigational searches. And again, that's all covered in the webinar from yesterday. But that will help, guys. I've seen amazing things with being able to use that, taking brand new sites and doing exactly what I just showed you here, and seeing in Google Webmaster Tools my impressions go through the roof. Obviously, we're manipulating the clicks as well, and we're manipulating the impressions because we're forcing our site to come up to be given impressions, right? By doing searches like this, we're forcing our site to be given more impressions. But what happens is that kind of jump starts it or kick starts it, and then from there it naturally starts to show up more often because the site is given more weight. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's how you would do that, Ganti. I highly recommend it. And again, once we have the green light from Brian on a specific training on ATM sites in crowdsearch.me, I'd be happy to do so. Plus, Dan will probably end up doing some training on it too. It's his product, So, lead gadget sites being affiliate marketing sites, and my interest being 90% in the affiliate marketing. I would like to know how to use Backlinks Indexer and crowdsearch.me in this type of situation. Well, Backlinks Indexer is just an indexing service, right? One of the best ones out there, and I know because I've tested about at least a dozen indexing services, and I love Backlinks Indexer. But that's just an indexing service. So again, like for affiliate sites and things like that, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, Ganti. I've got, like I said, I did a blog post. You guys are more than welcome to go check it out. Let me just let me find it real quick, and I'll share this. And you guys can glean some information from here. Backlink. You guys can glean some information from here and draw your own conclusions on how to use Backlinks Indexer and another plugin to manipulate your indexing rates a bit more. Okay. Again, I haven't had the green light to share this strategy with you. So this is in response or in reply to Ganti's question about how to use them for affiliate marketing. However, you guys can draw your own conclusions from this as well. So I'm going to post this right here at the top of the events page. You guys are more than welcome to take a look at that and see what you can do with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just essentially, Ganti, there's just backlink indexing is just going to help your indexing. Obviously, if you're like with what I teach with IFTTT networks and content syndication and things like that, we use a ton of Web 2, like Web 2 networks, which are like private blog networks, but instead they're Web 2s. And with the post that I just shared, there's ways to extract all the URLs from your Web 2 networks on autopilot and completely 100% hands-free and submit to Backlinks Indexer using a plugin, and that's what I share in that post. And so that's one thing that you could do. Crowdsearch.me, again, same thing. Crowdsearch, if you're using it properly, it can help your site to rank better for key phrases just by adding more weight. Plus, you can also power up like PBN links and Web 2 network links, things like that by sending traffic through those to your money site, which would be your affiliate site. And again, that was covered in the webinar yesterday. Hope that makes sense. Ganti says, I attended your Semantic Mastery webinar. That must have been yesterday. Yeah, that was. Okay, I was happy when I heard that you were going to have a lot of focus on the affiliate marketing and you were forming a mastermind group for the affiliate marketing aspect. Can you please give me a link to that? Yeah, Ganti, I sent that to you via Facebook privately this morning. But yeah, we're inside of my coaching Semantic Mastery. We're setting up a secondary affiliate marketing accountability group that starts either next week or the following week. We're going to be focusing on affiliate marketing and holding each other accountable every week. So might end up doing something like that on Lead Gadget too. Let's see. Ganti, this is about the canonicals and duplicate content, and you were absolutely correct on that. I could get really, really deep in the rabbit hole about canonicals and tags and things like that, but I'm going to refrain because I'll end up opening a floodgate of questions. So like I said, just from what you said in your post, in this comment, you're right. You're correct. Okay, Ganti says, if you check the indexing for the .in and Google.in versus Google for US, will that show a difference? It probably will, Ganti, but since I'm targeting the US with my sites, it really has little, that's really not relevant to me. So for example, the .pw domain that I had, and let's see I'm just curious now. .pw domain extension. It was like, I can't remember the name of the country. Palau, I can't, I'm sounding like an idiot. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's the name, that's the country that .pw domain is for, and I could not get it to index in the US. I only had like 3 pages indexed in the US, and that was it, and I had tried multiple ways to get it indexed. And so my point is that maybe had I checked the Google.pw, which I don't know if there's a Google.pw or not, maybe it would have been, completely indexed there, but it wasn't in the US. And since I'm building US sites, it really was not relevant for me. Like, it makes no difference to me. So I just abandoned those sites. I just killed them, in other words. So as far as the .in, will it show up in Google.in? Maybe, possibly, probably. But really, that's not going to benefit me any if I'm targeting US terms. So, but that's interesting. I'll check on that, Ganti, as we go forward. Like I said, I'm going to do indexing every 7 days. So every Thursday for the next 4 weeks, I'll be checking indexing and reporting back to you guys. And I'll check Google.in for if I'm seeing the .us, the .in site is not indexing in Google US search, then I will check it in Google.in and report back, because that's interesting. I'd like to know that as well. Okay. Okay, guys, let's see. Do you guys have any other questions for today? Because if not, I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I'll give it a few more minutes, and then I'll wrap it up. If we're not getting any questions, I'll wrap it up. So if you guys have any other questions, just let me know. Post them on the page right now. Otherwise, go watch the webinar from yesterday, get an idea. Let's see, Ganti says, just for future reference, can you please cover domain stacking? You must mean domain authority stacking in one of your future webinars. Yeah, I think you mean domain authority stacking, Ganti, if that's what you're talking about. And essentially that just means tying a bunch of high domain authority properties together to link back to your money site, which will improve domain authority on your site and therefore rankings, right? Again, it just improves the authority of your site, which makes it more likely to rank, provided that your on-page factors are correct. Okay. So, again, with domain authority stacking, it's just finding high domain authority, high authority sites, period. So think of the major social media sites. Guys, it's not feasible for us to do this with ATM sites, because with what we do with ATM sites, guys, is we just crank out site after site after site, right? So it wouldn't make sense for us to go out and create what's called a domain authority stack. It's just a kind of a buzz term for it. But for each site, because that would not be the best use of our time. The best use of our time would be to just build another site. Instead of building just one site and then creating a domain authority stack, which would be like setting up a Google Plus page for it, Facebook, Twitter, WordPress.com, Blogger, Tumblr, Delicious, Digo, like all the stuff that I teach in IFTTT SEO Academy essentially is, domain authority stacking is a fancy term for it, but it's something that I've been doing for several years now with IFTTT networks. And that's creating all these Web 2 networks around your money site, tying everything together, interlinking everything together, because it passes massive authority back to the site, which will help it to rank. That's great for normal traditional style sites, but for ATM sites, it's not the best use of our time. We shouldn't really be focusing on that. Instead, instead of creating one ATM site and then creating a domain authority stack or an IFTTT network for that one site, you're better off just creating 10 more sites because it's going to take you about the same amount of time. So you're just better off, putting on about 10 more sites out, and that's going to make a much more efficient use of your time. It's kind of different. What I teach with IFTTT SEO Academy, guys, is a bit different because it's used for more traditional sites or specific for video marketing, or like I said, more traditional style sites, not these great big massive ATM sites. So, hey, I'm happy to have you guys come join that as well. I'd be happy to teach you the methods, but again, just stick with the ATM stuff for now, and this training is specific to that, and that wouldn't really benefit. Okay. So, all right, guys. Well, it looks like we don't have a lot of questions. Ganti, you were very participative, if that's a word. So thanks for that. I like the engagement, guys. If you have any other questions, post them, because I'm going to wrap it up in about 60 seconds if I don't see any results. Okay. Also, guys, like I said, make sure you add us to your circle. I would select following circle so that you get notifications from us going forward. Also, RSVP that you're here whenever you guys come next time. If you can't make it, just say no. It's better to RSVP than to just leave it hanging out there, because that gives us some metrics that we can work with for these training webinars. All right. And if, let's see, Black Ice Design says, sorry, I arrived late. Crowd searched me. The training is tomorrow. Oh, cool. I didn't know that there was training tomorrow for that. That's great. Okay. So Dan must be putting on training for that. Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, yep. Okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. If you have any other questions, just post them in the Facebook community, guys, and we'll get, I'll try to jump in and answer some questions throughout the next, today and tomorrow. I've got a lot of stuff, another webinar I got to prepare for now, so I'm going to wrap it up just a little bit early. But again, if you have any additional questions based on what we talked about today, just paste them in the Facebook group, and I'll get to those either later today or tomorrow morning. I promise. Okay. So everybody, thanks for being here. This was training webinar number 7 for Lead Gadget ATM, and we'll see you guys next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. instead of 7:30 a.m., and that's Eastern time. So thanks for being here. See you then.